HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. It is universally used around the world. In fact, this very page was created using HTML. Let's take a look. Each page you create must start with these lines of code. They must be then finished with this one. Whoops. Sorry. Don't know how this got in here. My name is Chef.
I am sorry for that. We had to kill the Scotsman. His voice was too annoying to continue.
Copy that. Whoa, hey guys.
Welcome to Bino's Banter Brigade. I am here today to explain to the best of my abilities, HTML, CSS and JavaScript. To start off, a quick disclaimer. This video will most likely be awful. And other videos on this subject are likely to be more humorous and interesting. Anyway, hopefully by watching this you might learn something, and this might open the door to future knowledge in programs.
Fuck off.
Let us begin. Firstly, what is HTML? HTML or Hypertext Markup Language is an example of a markup language. Just as a side note, a markup language is a set of tags or a set of rules for creating tags that can be embedded in digital text to provide additional information about the text. Got that? Good, because it is definitely not copied from Wikipedia. Anyway, back on task. Every web page you look at is written in a language called HTML. You can think of HTML as the skeleton that gives most web pages in the world structure. Now on to HTML markup. HTML markup consists of several key components, including those called tags, character-based data types, character references and entity references. HTML tags most commonly come in pairs like H1 and H1, although some represent empty elements and so are unpaired, for example ing. The first tag in such a pair is the start tag, and the second is the end tag. The following is an example of the classic Hello World program, a common test employed for comparing programming languages, scripting languages and markup languages. The text between the start tag, HTML, and the end tag, HTML, describes the web page, and the text between start tag, body, and the end tag, body, is the visible page content. The markup text, title, this is a title, defines the browser page title. The text content of the element is placed between the p tags. The document type declaration, doctype HTML, is for HTML5. If a declaration is not included, various browsers will revert to Quarks mode for rendering, which means it reverts back to an older model of itself. Now on to CSS. Firstly, what is CSS? CSS, or Cascading Style Sheets, is a style sheet language used for describing the presentation of a document written in a markup language and is most often used to set the visual style of web pages and user interfaces written in HTML. CSS was designed primarily to enable the separation of document content from document presentation, including aspects such as the layout, colors, and fonts. This separation can improve the content accessibility and provided more flexibility and control over the presentation characteristics. But why use CSS? Before CSS, nearly all of the attributes of HTML documents were contained within the HTML markup. All font colors, background styles, element alignments, borders and sizes had to be explicitly described within the HTML. CSS allows authors to move much of that information to another file, the style sheet, resulting in considerably simpler HTML. So with much of the information being stored in one file, you can change the look of an entire website by changing just one file. For example, under pre-CSS HTML, a heading element defined with red text would be written as this. Using CSS, the same element can be coded using style properties instead of HTML presentational attributes. It would look like this. As you can see the second example, the font and color can be defined in style. The element properties were moved into one place. Advantages that CSS has over HTML. First of all, faster loading of pages. You are separating the content of the web page, which is text and images, into the HTML file and the visual presentation such as the layout, style, color, into a CSS file. This minimizes the amount of code on the actual web page, so the load time is shorter. Secondly is efficiency. Since the content is separated from the layout styles, all you have to update is the CSS file and the changes will be carried across the entire web page.
Copy that.
JavaScript is used to provide the interactivity to a website. This can be as simple as a button-click animation to a fully fledged 3D game. The syntax is more complicated and harder to get used to than HTML and CSS. For a list of all the components and a cheat sheet with help on how to write and edit your JavaScript code, check the description, and use the checkout code CHEFBOYARD for a cheeky 10% discount. Oh god, he's not dead. I didn't say that. We must end the video quickly and we'll have to skip out on some JavaScript information. Not because we ran out of time or anything, but because this must be dealt with.